So earlier in the call, I'd asked the question, is there any overhangs left? And I think Larry said there might be, it sure sounded like it's a one-time thing with the expenses and so forth per vehicle. But let me ask the other question. In the last 6 months, a year, we heard loud voices in the retail saying we need advertising. We need lower cost vehicles to be sent out, to be produced and sold today. We need capital raise. We want a buyback. Is there anything that you think as a retail investor you think we should be demanding or promoting and saying, hey, Tesla, you're not doing this right? Who wants to answer that question first?
Yeah, I would like to. It's Larry.
Yeah, please.
We have 5 vehicles in our lineup with a semi, potentially in the near term and the Roadster in the long term. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind, Robotaxi or no Robotaxi, we need a lower cost vehicle to compete in the $25,000 range. Model Y, because of its compelling nature, is actually fulfilling a role for which it's not really designed. If we had a Model 2 or whatever we want to call it, we would be seeing, numbers far in excess of the numbers we're seeing now. And I'm convinced Tesla could make it very economically. And this is completely independent of the Robotaxi conversation, completely independent. So in that regard, as far as the buybacks are concerned and so on and so forth, I don't agree with any of the guys about this. I think we need every dollar we can get. But I absolutely feel we should have a Model 2. Yeah, that's my view.
Yeah, okay. I guess when somebody says that, Larry, I mean, it is in the plans. It's going to come out maybe the end of this year, maybe the beginning of next year. It's what do you expect? Did you think that they should have been able to get this out this quarter instead of the end of this year, right?
Yeah, I think that the Model 2 got delayed quite significantly due to COVID, and then post-COVID due to a significant amount of rethinking and repositioning by Tesla, and I think it's just unfortunate. I think it probably cost us 1 million sales of over 1 million vehicles. By the time the Model 2 actually rolls out, I think it would have cost us the sales of about 2 million vehicles and inhibited us from being, more in the lead than we are. So that's what I would say. I don't question for one moment the need to bring out the Cybertruck, and I think we should have tried to achieve more. But having said that, I'm very excited about it coming in due course.
Anybody else want to answer the question?
Last one and I got to go. But I think the biggest risk, I don't think there's an overhang. I agree with Larry, buybacks. I think the Model Y refresh will be compelling. I could even see it potentially being a little bit more SUV looking. And I also wouldn't be shocked if Elon, he's a competitive dude by nature. The fact that the Rivian, R2 launch and then they kind of did the R3, R3X, like I would not be shocked if whenever the next product reveal, we actually get 2 vehicles. So we think it's going to be one, and then we see kind of like something cool that shows the forward. And I don't think we'll ever, I hope, but I don't think we're ever going to have like a 4-year order date, wait for a delivery of the Cybertruck again situation. I expect when we see things, we're going to get them, because I think Tesla's now conscientious of Osborne themselves. The actual biggest overhang for the company from a stock price perspective, which I don't particularly care about near term, is Elon basically said he wouldn't sell the stock until 2025. We're mid 2024. He got his pay package. He's probably going to maybe sell some, or something's going to happen in the future. And then this whole stupid narrative will start over again. I don't think it's right, but I'm just saying that's probably something that will become talked about in the 12, 18 months.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Jeff?
No, I was just going to, I was actually going to go back to this quick commentary, maybe a 30-second lesson on, or just commentary from me on energy and auto. if you believe that there's an auto macro overhang, what I said this on your show, Herbert, this morning as well, is Tesla with their low network latency. So network latency is basically the start of your supply chain, kind of at the critical raw material level, all the way to a fully landed unit, and where a customer can pay for it. And that end-to-end time is your network latency. And inside of that, there's various nodes for various different component types and factories. But in the end, you add up all that time, and you're trying to reduce, as a company that produces a product, you're trying to reduce it. You're trying to make it as small as possible. That's why Tesla focuses on process time in the factory. That's why they focus on a co-located supply chain. So long story short, why am I bringing this up? Well, Tesla has the lowest network latency in auto, and they have the lowest network latency, I believe, in energy. And so they're going to be able to enter into a macro slowdown and exit a macro slowdown faster than anyone. So they're going to be on the other side of this faster, and they may already be on the other side of compression of this slowdown, where margins are going to start coming up, deliveries are going to start coming up, and so that if you remember one thing, at least from me from this call, is that they have that advantage. Others have gigantic amounts of inventory, both in the EV space and in the legacy auto space. And so when they enter into these slowdowns, usually their inventory grows, and then they've got to work through that old inventory that was built at their older cost structure. Even if they have a brand new whiz bang solution from a cost perspective, they have to work through that inventory glut. Like Rivian's got an inventory, they've got to work through as they get these newer, lower cost vehicles out. So if you remember one thing, Tesla's already entered into that slowdown faster than everyone. That's why they were signaling last year. That's why they did the aggressive cost reductions. They're going to come out of it faster. And as it relates to energy, this 45% drawdown, JB's right. Most of the cost structure is in the cell cost of the mega pack. So you have the cell, then you have the pack, and then you have you have basically the overpack of the entire system of it, and most of the cost is in the cell cost. Cell cost, if you have the COVID spike, you have the downtrend, and basically just in the last year alone, I mean, you can get cells at half the price, if not a third of the price, depending on the cell type. So there's a big drawdown there. So that when you don't be fooled, when you see this 45% drawdown, like is Tesla going for a big volume play? Well, yeah, they're doing the same. They're doing a similar play in energy that they would in auto, which is like go out there, get the market share, but drive your gross margins effectively. And the way you do that is you have low network latency, so they don't have a bunch of energy inventory waiting around. So when those cell costs tanked, they got it in the front of their factory and they've moved it out already. So they're taking. My guess is they're taking those price reductions commensurate with their ability to bring supply in, turn it through the factory, and get it out at the new lower cost structure. So they're playing a different game, both on the energy and auto side. In terms of risk or overhang, I do think that Tesla needs a vehicle consistently below 30,000. I do agree with that. And I think the way they're going to get there are these not hybrid, but these vehicles that are between the 3 and Y and then the next generation platform. I think they're going to take a considerable cost down. One example is going to be, what they're doing is they're going to be taking modules from the unbox process for that next generation vehicle and pulling as many of those modules forward as possible, and then delivering them to the 3Y line and retrofitting those vehicles with those modules. And those modules, for example, are like the new motor that they talked about in Investor Day of building a $1,000 motor that would replace like a $1,700 or $1,800 motor. And you start adding up these reductions, they're significant. And then they're going to be able to keep the main line tooling and the main line robotics on the line. They're going to be able to depreciate them further, and they're already going to be kind of ramped up and ready to go in terms of a readiness perspective. So that next couple of vehicles that come out from Tesla could have a pretty quick ramp, and they're not only going to de-risk that ramp by using the existing line tooling. They're going to de-risk the next generation platform by pre-ramping and pulling forward the modules that we're going to go into the unbox process and building them on that conventional line. So the next generation car, the 25K car, it would have been like 25 or 28K for them to build it in day one, because they're going to be at such low efficiency. They're going to take that number way down by pre-ramping these modules. So I know it's a lot, but they need that lower cost vehicle, and the moves they're making are really going to de-risk it from a cost perspective. And by the way, rates are coming down too in that backdrop.
Nice, Jeff. Wow. I can't believe I heard you say that you actually think it's going to ramp out faster. That would be wonderful if that's the case. I want to, Warren, if you're there, can you please request to speak? Spaces is broken. I'm not able to invite people unless you request to speak. Alexandra, I know you're busy. Can I ask you a question? Are you there?
Sure, I'm
good.
Right. Yes, now I have problems unmuting, but I'm here. Yes.
Priorities, okay? I am your priority. Okay,
you are always my priority.
You're an American now? Okay, so you don't need to take the test anymore. Okay, so the question is financing, right? We've seen Tesla start rolling out new financing, really good deals, and they did it for the first quarter. They might continue doing it. Some people are saying, could there even be more lucrative? Could they start actually really leveraging their ability to finance, or what's your estimate of that?
Well, I'm actually looking forward to the financials for that, because as you remember, they had about $1 billion of those car loans that they took on their own books. And the whole question is whether the Q2 much enhanced financing effort was on their own books, or whether they are paying down their banking partners, meaning the bank would give them a preferred price, but then there's still a difference, let's say 5%, but they want to give it out at 0.99%. And so the difference of the 4.01% Tesla would actually pay as a penalty, as an upfront penalty to the banks. I don't know how it was done, whether it was the penalty to the bank payment, but then the whole loan is gone and is with the bank, or whether Tesla, who had decreased the loans they had on their own books, have now been increased. So we'll know that when we get the numbers on the 23rd in 3 weeks. Did you actually see that it's on a Tuesday? I was so used to having all these earnings calls on Wednesdays, but this one is on a Tuesday. Herbert, you make me speak, then you disappear.
No.
Is that
well, I'm doing the 50 things right now. Okay.
Well, just that everybody knows this is an ongoing thing with Herbert and me. I just want to make sure everybody knows he's doing everything wrong, and I'm trying to do everything right.
Oh, right. Okay, so thank you for that answer about the financing. I still want them to do more. I think they can leverage that, make that really just powerful. Tell me about. I've asked you this question before, but maybe a lot of people here have not heard this. Is there a potential for the board to announce? Maybe they'll just Elon will say, "Here's my next 10-year goals," without actually saying this is my compensation plan yet. But is that something that they could do, or they're not going to do that, right?
I did answer that in the last Cyber Bulls we taped, but I don't mind saying it again. I don't think it's that close, right? I mean, there are a couple of things. First, the preferred stock they can issue in Texas has voting rights. So it is if it is just a matter of Elon getting quickly more voting rights, they can do that, and they have actually slipped that into the proxy, and we've already voted on that and given the board the power. You may not have read it in detail. I did actually point it out in one of the spaces a couple of weeks ago. But the voting rights question is something the board could do from one day to the next. Wouldn't cost anybody anything. Would just be an issuance for Elon. It's not a matter of a lot of stock. It's not a matter of money. It's a matter of voting rights, right? We just have now a different class of preferred stock that would have different voting rights. So that's the whole voting rights issue. The compensation plan, I think, is in the making. They made it very clear in the last proxy that no, they were not working on the proxy and while they were in Delaware. This was something that would only be considered once they were in Texas. Well, guess what? On June 14th, they were in Texas. And since then, we've obviously heard on the 13th, Elon discussing how this stock price could go up 50x, 60x, and he's also had a couple of posts in that direction, you know, where he answered to people who said, well, it could be a 24 trillion stock, could be this, could be that. So I do believe they're actually working on this now, because these numbers are not out in the public just for the sake of being out in the public. I think there is discussions happening now. What would be the normal way of doing this? The normal way of doing this would be to bring the next compensation plan into next year's shareholder meeting in next year, June, July, whenever it is. Again, anytime between May and June, July would be normal. Now, if you look at the dates of shareholder meetings from Tesla, nothing's ever normal. Nothing since COVID years has been normal, because normal would be that you do it every 12 months. And they're either very smart on doing it much earlier, or like this year, they needed a couple of weeks later. So it could very well be that we have an extraordinary shareholder meeting between this one and the annual one next year, or that they pull forward that annual one by a couple of months to then incorporate that compensation package. So I expect it, I would say, in 6 to 12 months. I don't expect it earlier. And I hope, for the sake of it, that they hire very good external advisors, that they make a whole fluff about it, how these external advisors came to these milestones, and how, you know, how this is, while it's going to be humongously huge, it is normal. It has to be done a little bit more in corporate America style, so that we're not running into issues again. The issues will be less anyway, because we're in Texas, but still, I think they can be more prudent than we were last time, to avoid more of the mess.
Okay, so we're headed towards July 23rd. That's going to be when the earnings call is. Anything going to happen between the now to then?
Well, I booked my flight for August 8th, if that's what you want to know. I know you don't.
July 23rd. I said July 23rd.
Because I know you don't know yet whether you're coming on August 8th.
I'm going. What do you mean I don't know? I'm going. Somebody needs to. I've already called for your +1. That's the debate right now. Who's going to get it? Jeff or me? I get the +1.
No. Keep on crying. I don't know whether, you know, we can expect much until July 23rd. It is quiet period now, and let's hope that Elon is a bit more quiet than he is. And so I don't expect much news on Tesla. But like Stock Talk, I really think that this stock is by far not yet where it should be, just for what the market considers current business, not for anything coming. And I think there are lots of hands up, so I'm going to shut up.
You have to tell me whose hands is up, because I can't see, please.
Jeff, Sat, and GP.
Okay, go ahead.
My hand's not up, but I should be getting the +1 unless there's a close.
Put your hand down. Put your hand down, Sat.
I tell you, Sat has his hands up, and he's not listening. GP, you're listening.
No, my hand's not up.
I sent you a screenshot. I show you it's up.
All right. Well, two things. I'll just go super quick. One is I sent a screenshot, Herbert, in your DMs. I don't know if you're getting them, but it's Dan Carew sent me the LFP cell price. It's like $23 per kilowatt hour, which is insane. And that leads to the margin, you know, on both the standard range and or energy story kind of continuing, and Tesla being able to get cells at extremely low prices. So the price cut being, you know, not impactful to bottom line, as like, you know, just a few years ago, you're looking at prices north of $120, $150 per kilowatt hour. So to have an 80% reduction in like 3 years is insane. The only other thing, just like headline back, like, because the media just loves to run with shit relative to Elon. The new Texas exchange, which I'm not sure if people are familiar with, there's a big push for the first new national equity stock trading exchange to be launched in a very long time out of Texas. It's very quietly, but also kind of not quietly well known that like SpaceX is going to IPO on that exchange. Will there be like rumors and bullshit relative to, you know, Tesla moving to that exchange, or Elon being focused on SpaceX and that IPO, et cetera? But like, those are things that are going to be coming out, and I'm kind of just putting it out there so people know and they don't freak out when the headlines come. And, SpaceX, Starlink, IPO, Texas, Elon focusing on that now that Tesla's back, whatever, his attention's distracted again. Like all of those kind of like bullshit stories will probably pop up as SpaceX continues to dominate in their respective realm and become more of a media sensation again.
Okay, so lots of very good things happening. It seems like it. So does this open the way for 8.8? Are we not going to hear anything else? I mean, FSD 12.4.2 was just released. Just a handful of people, non-employees, and I think we're getting kind of mixed signals, right? Some people are saying that it's really good, and others are saying that it needs to. Elon even explained himself why it needs to be retrained again. What are you guys expecting to see with that? If we continue to see delays in 12.4.2, does that matter if that's been delayed before 8.8? Not that anybody has. I've never, but I've never expected that. That there's like a version 13 need to be ready by 8.8. I don't think 8.8 is a magical day for a certain capability. But explain, Jeff.
Well, I mean, if there's not a good release after 12.3.6, that's a problem. That came out in May. So yeah, no, they need to figure out how this is becoming an issue. And it's difficult, right? This is stuff that nobody's ever done before. So it's not like you can just kind of pound the back of your hand and saying, well, when is it going to be done? I think they're figuring it out real time. And once they do, I think there will be some downstream benefits from them on future releases. But yeah, it seems like as they go from one large model to another, they're running into, a lot of difficulties as they work through it. But, once they get through it, it'll be great. But yeah, this is, it's a factor. If you say like, is there, a concern or overhang? Well, yeah, if there's no improvement that, hundreds of thousands of cars can see and utilize, then that, becomes a bit of an issue. So yeah, they need to figure this out pretty quickly. I'm sure the team's working, nonstop, and it's never a question with Tesla. It's more of a matter of when, not if. But again, I struggle to even call these things kind of late because nobody's ever done this before. It's just, it's new ground. It's brand new to everybody in the world, and hopefully they figure it out soon. But yeah, we need a new release that brings new functionality and reduces the burden from the driver. This nag thing is becoming, it has always been a real problem. So, yes, it's a factor.
It's a factor. Okay. But, he did explain it. And I thought that the explanation was a good one, just basically saying, which means that they know what the issue is. They know that the issue is that they've overtrained it on the interventions, and he said the interventions are much better. It's now the smoothness of the drive. That's the issue. So, might have to go back in the drawing board for another week. I guess the question is, why did they not know that this is the new way to, that they could break it this way? But I talked to Hans about it, and he was saying that there's a limit to what they can train because of the size of the compute that they have. And so now maybe as they increase that, then they don't have to sacrifice, we're going to do less of the regular driving. We'll throw everything at it.
Yeah, it's for sure a dynamic situation. It's for sure new to the industry, new to everyone, new to Tesla, and they'll be the first ones to figure it out.
All right, what do you guys think about China? So Tesla China insured units came out last night, 14,100. BYD's numbers were very good, were really high as well. So are you guys feeling comfortable that China's, just a month ago, we were all freaking out about deflation in China. Are they turning a corner?
It's hard to say. We don't know the discounting environment there. We know what Tesla's doing. It'd be interesting to know what the others are doing. And it'd be interesting to know, like, what's the next move from the CCP in terms of spiffs, in terms of, incentives, but it's nice to see like Li Auto, BYD, everybody kind of having a strong quarter out there. That there's a bit of recovery happening. And I think the big catalyst now in China, will be if there is a Model Y refresh, getting that there, but really getting FSD going in China will be, a fairly big catalyst for them. And, just look at, kind of the return of Tom Zhu and his focus there is, I think is also very important and shouldn't be missed that, they had a pretty good June and they've been recovering, since he's been there and focused.
Jeff, is there any signs that you would know whether or not the progress for the new affordable vehicles is on track or not, or even the Robotaxi? What would you be looking for to know if those things are moving along or not?
I would be looking for the language that Elon uses on the earnings call, because he should be getting asked about these vehicles. He talked about them on the last earnings call, so hopefully there's good retail, or there's good analyst questions about, okay, you introduced these new vehicles on the last call. You said they could be, ready at the end of the year or early next year. How are we doing? And then how are you doing on, they probably won't get into too much on the Robotaxi. They'll say, well, we're going to have an event in 2 weeks and we'll tell you everything. But yeah, as many questions as possible. The language that they use is key. Robotaxi should be, design, it should be, the industrial design should be locked, and the engineering design, quite frankly, at this point should be pretty close to locked. When you say locked, you're talking about an initial lock. You're not talking about, the components can go into production. I don't think they're anywhere near that. But yeah, an initial lock, so then you can actually go through the engineering process of iterating. So that's what I would be looking for. I think you'd be looking for like what Elon says, both on the earnings call and the 8.8 event.
Okay, so it looks like that the next event is going to be the July 23rd, which is 3 weeks from now, and then 8.8 is like literally 6 days from now. It's going to be a month away. It's crazy. We're here. We're going to see the Robotaxi design. That alone will be very interesting, and we'll see. The patent was brilliant. We didn't have time to talk about it today, but Jeff, you and I did a show on that, and it was a lot of what you were saying was shown that in that patent they're going to do, right? Automatic self-cleaning, sanitization, so many things that the car has, like just the way the HVAC system works. It was, you'd think that they had thought about this 6 years ago, that this was what they were going to do today. And it looks so perfect, right? It's going to blow hot air. It's going to use heat. It's even going to use the sun to sanitize. And then everything can move. The seatbelt might move. The seats might move just so it can sanitize it. But any comments on that, Jeff? Because you called it, and it's so amazing that if they can actually show that as part of the Robotaxi, even if it comes a couple of years from now, it still is so. I just don't see how other Robotaxis could catch up at this point with that kind of technology.
Well, they have the scheme to generate, the ability to clean, and they have the ability to detect. So they have both things covered in a very, very, very low cost manner. And there's multiple methods. It could be steam, could be heat, could be UV. And these are all really low cost methods. Could be even using the natural sunlight. And the key thing they have is detection, and then they have the ability to generate these cleaning sources in a very low cost manner. So it's really good engineering, and you can tell like there's been multi-year thought put into this. They're not just hobbling this together. And I think you're going to see more IP filings around material properties, around potentially surface finishes and things that they're doing, to increase the surface energy inside the vehicle, so that things just that don't stick to it and won't become dirty. And then same thing on the exterior of the vehicle as well. And I don't discount this little pop-up car wash that you saw outside of the Austin facility for the Cybertruck. Don't discount that, as that was just something they built for Cybertruck to wash prototypes. That, my guess is, that was a prototype for a Robotaxi type car wash when the car does need more of a cleaning, and these things could be powered by supercharger sites and co-located there. So I mean, these are a number of things that could happen. None of us know. It's fun to speculate, but it's great to see that Tesla's using first principle engineering. They're utilizing the components that are in the vehicle. There's tremendous reuse. It's low cost. It's very innovative. And even if somebody else does a robotaxi, they have to think through these things. And if they don't have a better solution, they're going to have to license it from Tesla.
Yeah, this particular patent is very detailed. I encourage everybody to either watch the show we did or take a look at this patent. They're talking about service centers, sanitation centers, and like you said, it could actually be it could very well be at the superchargers. But they're talking about the service robots, external service robots that can sanitize both the interior and exterior of the vehicle. They've designed the vehicle in such a way that makes it easy for them to clean it, as you've been saying for a while, that they might do that, and that's what it looks like. So if even just a piece of this patent is something that they reveal, they're so far ahead of anyone else. At least you can see that they've been thinking about this. So that just upped the game for me in terms of what to expect on 8.8. And again, it may not show up in 8.8. It might show up, a couple of years later, but this gives you the confidence that they've been thinking a lot, not just about sanitation is like one angle. So can we talk about Travis for a little bit? Travis Kalanick, he's this founder of Uber, and Elon followed him. And a few days ago, the stock popped. And then I asked everybody, and I know that you, Xander, you guys thought that the stock popped because of that. And I'm like, no, the stock's not going to pop because of Elon following somebody. Does anybody want to share your opinions of, do you think that that's the reason? I think the stock popped because of the patent. That's what I thought. But, you can argue that both of those, nobody's really, it's kind of falls under the radar for most people. But
I can say that the patent is a smart thing to do before anything was unveiled, because every time there's an unveil of some kind of presentation, whether it's Battery Day, AI 2, or whatnot, is that the competitors literally copy it. So, like, you see a bunch of Optimus now literally looking like Optimus, right? Basically. So, I think it's good that they did do the patent, and they're thinking way ahead. That way, other competitors just can't just rip off exactly what Tesla's doing. And um, one thing I wanted to point back to one of the points before about China is that the economy is really bad in China. So the fact that the sales of the vehicles are going up is partly probably because of they have some promos or whatnot, but it's also, if someone needs a car, they need a car, right? And if the sales have been kind of down for the last year or so, you still need a car at some point. And after New Year's, Christmas, and Chinese New Year, you're gonna have more leeway in your budget in the second half of the year. So I think that's part of it. But I look forward to the patent stuff. Going back to that's gonna rise to a whole different level. And even the technology for Cybertruck, some of the stuff that we see today had been working on for like 5 years prior that people don't know about. It's just in behind the scenes. Nobody knows about it. The engineers know about it. And everyone's on NDA, so nobody knows. But they've been working on it for years prior, and before it comes to even a presentation or even to community meetings or whatnot, it's been working on for a very long time. So the fact that this patent's here and we don't see the cybercab anywhere near means that they're way ahead. It's not even just about like, hey, we thought of this thing, and as an idea, you did ideations and you did sketches and you worked on the design, and that design process takes a very long time, and that design process pre-production side takes the longest of anything, and to take out all the kinks that you could possibly think of. So the fact that they went ahead and did a patent already means a significant progress that's way ahead of other competitors.
yeah, can't wait to meet Franz. We're all going to meet him. The Bulls here, we're going to meet him on July 27th when we're presenting at the San Luis Obispo X Takeover. If you guys should come, it's going to be in California. So I don't know if you're there, Stock Talk. I wanted to ask you about Travis Kalanick. Do you think that Elon following a person on the X is enough to make the stock pop? Is that even
You
possible?
mean like if it was related to today's stock movement?
No. I don't know if you know who Travis Kalanick
Yeah,
is.
no, I know. I just didn't know if you were asking about
Not today. No, this happened yesterday.
Yeah, no. I didn't know if you meant like it was related to the move in the stock.
Not today.
But
yes, but it jumped yesterday too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was maybe an anticipation. And again, I say this a lot. I think like the idea of trying to like characterize why a stock is up or down on a given day is kind of a fool's errand. But nonetheless, I understand why it's fun to speculate sometimes, or try to rationalize these moves. When it comes to him following him, I mean, do I think he's going to be hired as the head of Tesla Autonomy or Tesla Robotaxi or whatever title they're going to give him? Maybe. Or maybe Elon's followed him so that he could reach out for that purpose. I mean, it's hard to know right now what the intention is. Do I think he brings expertise to the table that's relevant to what Tesla's trying to do? I think that's a more complicated question. I'm not sure that Tesla needs anyone from Uber at all, or I don't think that that's really relevant to what they're attempting to do. A lot of people keep overlaying Uber with Tesla's autonomy program, and outside of like the application, the ride here application, I just don't see the overlap. Like, I think again, this is an entirely new thing. I anticipate Tesla is going to do it in a dramatically different way as well. I mean, maybe the idea of summoning or hailing a ride, that initial process might be similar, but beyond that, it's going to be radically different. This isn't going to be a matter of procuring drivers, obviously, considering it'll be an autonomous program. Is there some level of overlap from an application standpoint? Sure. But Tesla has a fantastic software engineering team. I don't really think they need anyone from outside or anyone new. Might they want to have a new head of autonomy just for the sake of it? Sure, but yeah, I didn't read into that news as much as I saw a lot of people reading into it. So
I have actually a different take on that. Remember when Joe Gebbia came to the board, and he obviously brings all his Airbnb experience. And when you listen to Elon talking about Robotaxi and or Cybercab or whatever, or Auto, he mentions a lot of times it's going to be like Airbnb. Owners can put their Robotaxi in it, and so that probably was the thought when they included Joe, who has a lot of other good characteristics as well. But I do believe there was a real link between his Airbnb experience and putting him on the board. And I think for Travis, it's exactly the same. I don't think they're going to employ him. I mean, no founder of a company wants to be employed as even at a VP level of Tesla. That's not what, how you make these people interested in working with you. But a board position could be something that makes a heck of a lot of sense now, because for the whole Robotaxi infrastructure, I think what is missing, or what I haven't heard yet, is what do these cars do once they have done the course they were called for? Where do they position themselves? I think there's a very high logistics element to, where would they park? Where would they assemble? What's the likelihood of the next client calling them at a specific spot? And I think that's where the Uber experience, especially the founding experience as an Uber founder, is very important. Less than now handling of, is this personnel or all the current Uber issues, but the ones that were there at the beginning, and I think he would be a perfect person to add on the board. And I was asked this no later than today: would a board nomination now need a shareholder vote? And no, it doesn't at all. The initial call to the board can be done at any moment, today, tomorrow, in a week, whenever they want. And then at the end of the first 3-year term, that's when the renewal has to be approved by the shareholders. But the initial period doesn't have to be approved by shareholders. And there is a question, because you probably remember proposal 6 and 7 got accepted despite the recommendation from the board of this proxy. And one of them was to shorten the board renewal votes to 1 year rather than 3 years. That was an advisory statement, so it's something that board should consider. It's not something that they have to apply, but I do believe they may want to consider applying that. So it could be that any new member, or any member for that fact, has to be now re-elected every year. So we may have to do that next year. If it stays at 3 years, it would be in 3 years.
Can I just add something to Alexander there, Herbert?
Go
Yes,
ahead.
please go ahead.
Yeah, if you haven't read the book Super Pumped, it's basically about Travis and Uber. There's a kind of more ostentatious TV version. But I do think Travis actually adds quite a bit. And Alexander, taking your point one step kind of further, actually going first principles, which I hate using the term now, but like you got to go all the way back. Travis is a true like pioneer, and where his actual experience expertise is really useful. He had to break into every single taxi and limousine commission in the United States, and he was also into China, Europe, and dealing with all the bureaucracy that goes around with taxi or limousine services globally, and figuring out how to break that through. So we know that the cars are there. Let's just assume that maybe the technology is even ready and we could do it. But from a legality perspective, getting cars to be either temporarily or permanently registered within the regional jurisdiction for the commissions in each country, city, state, etc., whatever the rules are. That takes a lot of kind of like hand holding and oversight to work with governments. And Travis did it really relatively quickly and aggressively and arguably successfully, even in China. Like, I mean, he was losing money going against like TD and stuff, but like he was operating in China. And like, so having that experience of not understanding the government, the politics, and the businesses and the local commissions and where the drivers unions are relative to each country or state, like that all requires navigation. And it's obviously not something Tesla's ever had experience in. And he would definitely be an SME to leverage for that.
I think that's an excellent point. And that's maybe something I didn't think about. I think the regulatory and logistical issues are to me much more convincing for him as a role as a board member as opposed to like any sort of software overlap. But yeah, I think that's actually a better point. I didn't think about that. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
but Stock Talk, I don't know if you know, but there's a huge debate, and there are people on this speaker panel who believe that Tesla is going to launch an Uber, which is like not self-driving, but that you can actually have a person who owns a Tesla car be the driver, supervised driving to get this out
It is
first.
self-driving. It's supervised.
That's not
Yeah.
self-driving, dude. So, but okay,
It's
we'll see.
supervised.
But Herbert, you could make one more point and just say like, basically, like I know a lot of people don't agree with this, but like also it could make a hell of a lot of sense for a myriad of reasons to just buy Uber. And then if you were to buy them, you have instantaneous customer acquisition and you back your way into all of the regional operating jurisdictions licensing. So instead of having to go set it up one at a time, right, you can buy Uber at a relatively cheap multiple and get the customers and all the operating agreements for every country on day one, and then figure out how to integrate it into your service in some capacity going forward. I know people don't like that, but like there is something about being quick and also owning both a driver network and or a customer network, immediately.
Uber market cap is $147 billion. So
Yeah,
no.
but the multiple will be cheap though.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna be that'll be a tough acquisition. At that price, it'll be tough. I mean, regardless of what the multiple is.
Yeah, you should have bought it during COVID. That's when you should have bought it, when they were like dead.
Yeah. I mean, if you bought the stock when it was under $100 billion, that might have been able to be swung. It's going to be really tricky. I mean, Tesla's trading what today at 730, like that. What are they trading at as of today's close? Let's see here.
737.
Yeah. Okay. So 737 versus 180 whatever for Uber. I mean, that's.
I will tell you this though, if Travis winds up on the board of Tesla, Uber's market cap is going to go down. That's for damn sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I think this is good. Great conversation. We covered quite a bit of length today, conversations, topics. So the next thing we're looking forward to is July 23rd. So we'll see what happens from now till then. But all signs are looking a lot better than it was this week than it ever have been. Thank you, everybody. Follow the speakers. Always get the best. And appreciate everybody spending time with us. Thanks all.
Thank you, Herbert.
Thank
You
you,
did
guys.
well. You did well, Herbert.
Oh, wow.
Thanks for the
Thank
ball.
you.
Thank you,
Thanks for the
Jeff. I
ball.
love you.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.